I will declare this July the 8th, 2019 meeting of the Fayette County Area Plan Commission to order. Please join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next up, we'll have roll call, please.
Ruby Seiler.
Present.
Leota King.
Present.
Brian.
Present.
Couldn't read my own handwriting. Ed.
Here.
Gary Naylor.
Present.
Kay Riker.
Present.
Chad Frank.
Here.
Bill Mackey.
Here.
Stephanie McCann. Bill McDaniel.
Present.
Ann Sanders. And myself.
So we do have a quorum. Next up is approval of minutes. We have the minutes from the February meeting in front of you. So we have a little bit of time to look at those.
Mr. President, motion to approve this presented.
Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I will second it.
Thank you, Ruby. Motion to approve, motion made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the minutes are approved. Next item is public hearing. We have a petition for a public hearing tonight. And before we open the public hearing, Bill has something he's going to read for us.
Okay, it's requested that I start doing this before public hearings, because apparently there's some confusion about the processes that are followed. So basic procedure is there will be 2 public hearings this evening on each petition as requested. The first hearing is held by the Area Plan Commission. The Area Plan Commission makes a recommendation to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Area Plan Commission may, number 1, they may table. They may forward with a favorable recommendation. They may forward with an unfavorable recommendation, or forward with no recommendation. Follow the Area Plan Commission meeting, the Board of Zoning Appeals will hold a hearing on the petition and the APC recommendation. The BZA may table, approve with or without conditions, or deny. Okay, the Area Plan Commission or Board of Zoning Appeals may table the petition until the next scheduled date. Reasons may include insufficient information or need more time to understand the testimony or proposed findings. No motion able to receive a majority of votes from the entire board. In order to pass an APC motion, they must receive 5 votes because that's a majority of the entire membership. So in order to pass a BZA motion, they must receive 3 votes, and 3 out of the 5-person membership. Tabling may occur at the beginning of a public hearing or after testimony. If a public hearing is tabled, the only new following testimony, the only new testimony permitted at the continued hearing will be that requested by either the Area Plan Commission or the Board of Zoning Appeals. Tabling prior to testimony will ensure that those who wish to speak at the continued public hearing may speak. Now, the order of testimony is the staff report. Presentation by an applicant, which is 20 minutes. Presentation by a remonstrator is 30 minutes. Rebuttal by the applicant is 5 minutes. The hearing is closed. Deliberation by the APC or BZA, which may include questioning the applicant or remonstrators, then the action by the board. Okay, the APC may waive the rules on time or as necessary should additional time be required. Typically, that's preferred with, it'll need to be requested by either the applicant or the remonstrator. Now, all commentary is to be addressed to the APC and through the president. No dialogue between the presenter or any other person present, even individual members of the APC or its attorney, will be tolerated. This includes any response to questions from individual members of the APC or its attorney. So anybody that does come forward to speak, you speak to us. Anybody who's out in the audience, please do not speak. because you will be gavelled down, because we want to keep it orderly and keep the flow. And we have found in the past when it gets loose that way, and some of the other people who've probably been in public hearings find that tempers can flare when processes aren't followed.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Hope everyone understands what Bill has said. We certainly want to have an open dialogue of a public hearing. It's important that we do abide by these rules of decorum that Bill has said, that we give everybody a fair opportunity to make their presentation and allow this board to deliberate and make the right decision. So with that said, I will now declare the public hearing open for petition 14798, special exception 45 for a public recreational facility. Before we start taking the presentations, I have had a request from Bill that this board consider tabling this petition for 1 month. The reason being, Bill, this is the busy time of construction. Bill has responsibilities for inspections. He has to do the permitting. Bill has had some family issues, and basically what he's saying is he's not really had the proper amount of time he needs to really understand the packages that's been presented. He's asking that if we feel that way, I know on the package that he presented us, it says that there's no additional findings at this time from the staff. And that's the reason. Bill says he has not had time, and so he's asking for this for additional time to integrate both sets of proposed findings into his staff report. Also, he says this will allow the petitioner's attorney additional time to respond in detail to Mr. Dora's attorney. And so, Bill, you got anything you'd like to add to that?
No, that's
request?
pretty much all that I have. Typically, I really do try to provide some strong findings. I'm sure the attorneys on both sides, and also Bill's, and then also from Mr. Dora's attorneys, have found, well, to put it lightly, is I recognize that my findings are lacking. And I take very seriously as one person's staff that when you don't have a full staff, one of the things with many of the workshops and the seminars I go to, probably the most important thing I can do as a planner in a setting such as everybody knows what we face in Fayette County, is to provide a necessary information to help planning board, zoning board, and those things that go before the city council, and things that go before the county commissioners with the information they need to make what is referred to as a legally defensible decision. And that's one of the reasons that we provide the voting sheets, and I try to provide, and I think most of the time I provide some strong findings. I do not feel confident with the findings that I have prepared because it's insufficient time. I think many people have been aware, such as the board members, is, of course, we've had the holiday last week. One of the things Mr. Harrell alluded to is we're trying to close up the things, and my family related to my deceased father has really consumed a lot of my time, a lot of my thought since February. It's closing in toward the end of that, and that, along with everything else that I have the responsibilities for, is at one time I had 2 additional employees, and I'm one person who's doing the job of 3 individual people now, and it makes it extraordinarily difficult when it, especially as Mr. Harrell alluded to, the height of the construction season. Because I think most people are aware of what's happening at the high school. I've been spending an awful lot of time out there when they're doing all their footing and their construction work. That is the reason for this request of my comment and suggestion to the Area Plan Commission and zoning board members. And I believe also that we also had a request also on the part of the remonstrator, Mr. Dora's attorney also, about requesting adequate time to prepare And I suspect that in response to, I don't know if you've had sufficient time also to respond really to the remonstrance package from Mr. Gore's attorney.
We have.
Okay? Correct. But
Okay, with that said, open discussion.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
with Bill's request, I think we lean on Bill an awful lot for evidence and findings and so on and so forth. With his request, I would make a motion that we table this public hearing for 30 days to allow him to be better prepared for this hearing here.
I would second that.
Okay, so the motion actually is, you said 30 days till the regular meeting of
Yes,
August.
yeah.
Till the regular meeting.
The
of
regular
August.
meeting, I'm
Yes, sir.
sorry.
Yes, sir.
And I would suggest in this case, Ms. Rude, if you also do a roll call vote with this.
Yes.
Okay.
And report it.
So we have a motion and a second to postpone this public hearing until the regular meeting in August. Is there any questions on the motion?
I actually have a question. Is it based upon Mr. McDaniel's request?
That was what I said, yes,
Okay,
sir.
I just wanted to make sure that that was the
Yep.
request. Okay.
Yep.
Ruby Seiler,
Yes.
Leota King,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Gary Nealer,
Yes.
Kay Riker Payton,
Yes.
Chad Frank,
Yes.
Bill Mackey.
Yes.
Okay. I will sound the gavel on the public hearing, and it has been postponed until the regular meeting in August. Thank you all very much for being here. You're welcome to stay and listen to the director's report, sir.
I have requested a time to speak at this meeting because of things that are going on over the state police barracks over here in Connersville.
I think I can clue in. Must be Mr. Schaefer?
I'm in.
Okay, what has happened is
know about that.
the state police barracks, the Indiana State Police have leased the tower to Verizon. Now, as they're putting new equipment up, a permit was issued for the construction of a shelter for the ground equipment. Now, my contention upon a complaint by Mr. Schaefer is that, number one, it's an already existing use. It was also actually already in place prior to the adoption of the current zoning code. And also, as we know, that a cell tower is permitted as a special exception in any district. Now, as the tower is already there, it was my opinion that it is not necessary to have required another special exception for the ground equipment. Mr. Schaefer, of course, disagrees quite strongly with my opinion. Now, I sent a letter in to Mr. Schaefer, and what I have done is we did inspect the footings, and I flip-flopped my 6 and a 9 when I put the date down. So what has happened is that I conducted the footing inspection, okay, also the electric inspection for the new electric panel for this. So because it's another company, they're putting more dishes up. Part of what we request is when someone is going to do that type of equipment, we do ask for then the engineering assessment that it is structurally sound to put up the antenna. Now, we do not require a permit for the installation of new antennas or replacement antennas, because it is not always necessary, because at times the ground equipment, the ground pad is already there for the electric. In this case, Verizon needed a new equipment. It's about a 18 by about 24 pad right now, and it'll be the structure. It'll be a comparable size of the one that's already there. And as I said, Mr. Schaefer strongly disagrees with me, and so he's
Can I come up and speak? Well, it took me a while to get a copy of the permit and the scope of work. But I finally got it. And do you happen to recall the date you inspected the footers?
Okay, Mr. Schaefer,
And the footers right there, it's his handwriting, said he inspected it on 9/12. You're one heck of a guy. Now,
okay, Mr. Schaefer, I already explained that I
Okay.
wrote it's 9 instead of a 6. A lot of people end up doing that, Mr. Schaefer.
okay, fine. I don't have any problem with that.
I do not-
Except
I
we
do not
have
time
got-
travel.
Verizon, who is leased the tower, as I understand, I don't know, because he can't get a hold of anybody, from the state police. Verizon is not the state police, it's not a state entity. So they are not exempt from posting a permit. If they are, you tell me, if they're exempt from posting a permit, that's fine.
Okay,
Secondly-
Number one, I ask people to post the permits, not everyone actually does post the red card. But that does not mean a permit has not been issued.
If you look at when this property was transferred in 1937 to the state police, it was transferred for the purpose of, I have a copy of it here, but I'm not going to give it up because it's hard to get, of the state police barracks and the towers. Okay? For the purpose of the state police to broadcast radio frequencies. Doesn't say anything about Verizon.
You're
Verizon
talking about
is,
the paper from 1937?
yeah,
Verizon wasn't around in 1937.
you're right.
Okay.
Verizon wasn't here, but Verizon is a company. It's not the state of Indiana.
Okay.
My contention is the permit was given in error, and it should be rescinded. Now, having said that, what happens to, he's got on here that it's $60,000 worth of work. There's no way there's $60,000 worth of work. It's more like $250,000 worth of work. Are they gonna pay taxes on that? Because the state police is exempt.
That's a
From
question
all
for the
taxes.
assessor.
Huh?
The assessor that's a question for the assessor of what they pay, how they pay. Now, as
What
far as
I'm saying is the permit was given in error. He should have looked at exactly what I'm looking at. That says what the purpose was, that they give that property to the state of Indiana and the state police.
So what you need is a legal, you need a legal opinion on that then? Is that
Sure.
what you're asking for? Okay.
Sure.
Isn't that, isn't that between
That'd be between the state of
him
Indiana.
and the state of Indiana?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with us.
Well, you're right, but,
mean,
but
it's
here,
not-
I live across the street from it. Does that mean they can lease the building to somebody?
If they want to.
If they, I mean,
I mean,
That's a
they
question
offered
for
it
the state.
to lease to the city recently,
Well-
so
They
yeah,
offer to let the city use it.
they've
Well,
offered to
that's
give
a
it to
lease.
us. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
But that's a state entity. That is another state entity.
It's only a state entity as long as they accept, keep it. And once they transfer.
I'll go along with that,
And
fine.
The state still owns
But-
the property.
Verizon should be held responsible for the property taxes on what they're putting in.
Yes.
No argument there.
no argument there. And that's a question for the assessor.
Okay, and the legal question would be, do they have a right to issue a permit to a non-state entity for construction of and the use of the tower?
It's two different questions.
Because the property was given to them.
One of them is about a permit, the other one is about permission to use it, right?
Well,
It's two different questions.
if I come to you and
Village
you,
use permits, right?
Issue
Construction
permits.
The other question is, do they have a right to use it if it's a state-owned property? That's a different question.
okay,
And that needs to be asked to the state.
Exactly.
I mean, the state
State
leases
of
property
Indiana.
to people all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
As far
Let
as
me tell you how far I
Also,
went.
That's
the,
leased to people.
the city of Connersville also leases Tower, Jennings Point. The city, Fayette County leases the tower on their property. It's up on top of by the animal shelter. So those are also government entities that are leasing space.
Was that property given to the town for a purpose of the tower, or was it given to them for the purpose of the state police barracks?
The
Or
poor farm.
the tower, or whatever?
It was the poor farm, so that was given to the county to be the poor farm for people with tuberculosis.
Is your major concern whether they're gonna pay taxes on the assets or not?
No,
Is
my
that-
major concern is what's going in over there. That property, I live across the street. I've watched it deteriorate in the last 8 years from really a nice place to a piece of crap. The only time they mow it is when I call or somebody else calls and says, look, it looks terrible. So then they come in and bush hog it. Go down past there today, look at it.
Oh, I mean, I drove by it. But
And I'm in close
I think you're-
proximity to all this stuff going up there, okay? Last year, something fell off. Thank God it didn't hurt nobody. Who's responsible for that? I assume the state's responsible for that because that's who was up there.
It's their property. I mean,
But-
they either hold, correct me if I'm wrong, Ann, but they either hold the liability of that property or they hold their leasee responsible for the liability. And I mean,
Depending on the contract, one or the other is liable.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Schaefer, is that right? Mr. Schaefer? Is that your name, Schaefer?
Yes,
Mr. Schaefer, what are you asking from us? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What are you asking from us?
I'm saying that the permit that was issued in error. They issued it to Verizon and the state police, and it was issued in error because of the deed where the property was given to.
So that's a legal issue. You're just asking for,
I'm assuming that, yes.
can we get an answer to that from Mr.?
Well, I can give you some information that might help you, help your attorney. I called the state of Indiana, and I called Attorney General's office, and they said, well, the person that handles that was Gary Murphy of the state police, and his phone number is 317-899-8240. And I tried to call him on several occasions, and no response, ever. And I just call, leave my name, phone
My
number.
question is, who owns the property?
Who owns the property?
State of Indiana.
Okay.
Assessor's records, the state of Indiana. And,
But couldn't the Attorney General's office give you a legal opinion on whether they were able to lease to private holders or not?
They said
I think that'd be the question to ask.
area planning has to do that first. They gotta decide on if it was legal or not legal.
My contention is it was a legal issue.
And I think
Okay.
it was,
I
I
didn't know
think
that.
that was the interpretation
Yes.
from the director. It is a legal, in his interpretation, it's legal. It was done legal.
Address, please.
Well, I guess the only thing I asked, did you read the deed?
Oh,
Address.
okay, you're talking about the state police barracks?
The property he has in question that may have been, they own the property and illegally leased it. but-
That because of the original contract when the land was donated, Mr.
The
Schaefer's.
deed was in 1938.
In 1938,
Okay.
Mr. Schaefer's contending that the state police does not have the authority because of that contract to lease the tower or the property out to a commercial
Okay.
interest.
Because it was,
And I'm assuming his paperwork is showing me the address in the contract, the original contract, or?
you talking about for the state police? What I got is his phone number.
No.
Yeah.
What
I'm
is-
asking
What's
what,
the
I'm
address
asking,
over there?
I'm asking
Oh,
what
dear,
you
oh, I'm
have.
sorry.
That's
On the legal
okay.
deed.
Hey, Mr.
That's
Schaefer,
okay.
Mr. Schaefer, could you end up making a copy and then either deliver it to me or you can deliver it
Yes,
to
I will.
Ms. Sanders in her office?
Let's see. It lists the ownership of State of Indiana State Police Posts. That is the ownership And the address of it is, and I'm reading off of what you guys got. I'll find it here somewhere. I think it's 540?
I think that's it.
Don't, let me
Yeah,
see.
it's 540 Vine Street.
Yeah, 540 Vine Street,
Okay.
Connersville.
Mr. Technology down there,
I could tell that's what he was doing.
540 Vine Street.
Okay. I'll need to just take a look at the original.
Want a copy of this?
Yeah, if you can end up making a copy and you can drop one off to,
Whatever's easiest
Is
for
that-
you.
do you have more than one copy of the lease?
No,
Okay.
no, and I want this copy back.
Well, we aren't gonna be able to copy it right now, so it'd probably be helpful to
You would
Ms.
make a
Sanders is
copy
if you make a
yourself
copy
and
and
bring it to
you
them.
can
I'm
drop
gonna
it
have to
off.
look at the original lease.
Okay, you can drop it off at my office and I'll see that our,
Yeah.
Ms.
Okay.
Sanders
Drop
gets it,
it
okay?
off. Yes, that's fine.
That's the only one I got.
Okay,
I had to pay
in
for
that
it
case, I
over there.
think you'd rather hang on to that.
Yeah, we don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want to go anywhere,
No, no.
No.
but the information.
Couldn't bring it in.
Or you can bring it in and I can make a copy of it.
There you go. Hang on just a second.
Oh, it'll be my
I'm terrible
time.
at this.
You got plenty of time.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
This was sent to me by the Attorney General's office. And it gives
That'll
the,
help. Yeah, I need therapy. The thing is, that's been all year.
I finally got it.
I'm surprised you caught that.
they give that information to Cecil.
And that was one I
Looks
didn't.
like Gary Murphy is looking at your
Gary
case.
Murphy, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And when the state police was over there, they really kept it nice. It looked just like every other lawn up through there. But I will guarantee you this, if I kept my vacant lot next door in the same condition that lot's, I would be getting letters from the city.
Good thing you don't have to worry about getting one from me then.
Huh? Yeah. Well, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
It
that's
looks bad
understandable,
coming in
yeah.
town in that mess there. It should be clean.
it should be.
It should be, you know, they
It's a
always have
disaster.
homeowners, but these bigger guys, they're okay.
And the only time they bush hog or mow it is when I call. And I must keep calling. I will get you a copy of this tomorrow,
Yeah, please do,
or
Mr.
bring it in,
Yeah, please do, I'll make a copy of it.
and we'll go ahead and copy it.
As long as you just scan it or email it to me, that's
Yeah.
fine. Just,
That's what my
Whatever's
contention
easiest.
is. According to this, that shouldn't have happened. Permit shouldn't have happened. The tire's there, I understand that. It's gonna stay there. I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with the state police using it. I don't have any problem with our police using it. I think it's great. I think Lord knows they need some help. But when they get to where they become, just like you and I, making money off of a commercial entity, something's wrong.
been going on.
Do you know if they're subleasing it and they are still maintaining use for the radios?
I understand.
Haven't got a hold of the guy who knows.
They still might be using it and then subleasing the towers.
Oh, they're still using the
I
tower.
agree with you, they need to be paying their taxes.
Yeah. But what this is equipment that is being put up there that belongs to Verizon.
Oh, I understand that, but if they're still using it, then they're not in violation of contract. They can still sublease it.
Yeah, if they're using it, but
I don't
Can
know if
they-
they are. Nobody
can they
knows.
lease it? I mean, you know, I don't know.
That is still a
Because
used tower.
because there's already the existing, and, the existing, equipment room building.
State 800.
It currently has
Could
electric
be
running.
just sublease,
Yeah,
that's it.
and it would be, that'd be what? An improvement when you don't own the property, would that be taxes, what, personal
Personal
property?
property tax.
They'd be taxed.
Yeah.
Inventory tax.
Well, with the scope of work, they estimate it costs us $60,000. That was the scope of work. There's no way. No way. They've had 4 people over there for 2 months now. I won't even cover labor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is the director's report, which hopefully you have a copy of it in front of you. Is there any questions on the director's report for June?
Me and June.
May and June.
Yeah.
On the construction costs, is most of that related to the school?
Well, actually, with the construction costs, yeah, they estimate they do estimate the construction costs. A big part of that is the school, but that permit was issued several months ago for the start of the year. But that's been keeping me real busy, going up there for the, tell you what, those grade beams and the piers, that foundation works pretty impressive.
So, do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve the director's report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say no. Item number 6 on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
now declare the July 8, 2019 BZA meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Carrie Steele.
Here.
Bill Crawford.
Here.
Jeff Fisher.
Here.
Ruby Seiler.
Here.
Leota King.
Here.
Bill McDaniel.
Present.
Ann Sanders.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from April 8, 2019 and May 13.
Actually, we only have February 11th.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's,
all right.
we got February 11th.
Okay. We're gonna approve the minutes from February 11th, 2019. Any discussion on the minutes?
I'll be motion if we approve.
Got a motion made that we approve.
I'll second.
Motion made and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now, Bill, which ones are we missing?
Just the May one.
Just the May. Okay. good.
The one.
Oh,
where
that's
they-
right, because this one slipped because of just some of the other things when you did the ones that followed after. Okay.
And it's the one where the campground.
Yeah. Yeah, that's,
Okay.
there's a lot of confusion with that.
And we did have a public hearing set for tonight, but that was tabled during the area planning portion, so I'll take a motion, I guess, to postpone our end of it. Do we need it?
I've moved to table the public hearing that was tabled with the Area Planning Commission.
That'd be good.
I still do it.
Got a motion made and properly second to postpone the meeting till we can get the results from the area planning. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Director's report.
I move to approve director's report. I will second it.
Okay. All right, I'll take a motion on the director's report.
We've already made
did
one
it.
and seconded it.
Made it and seconded.
Okay, we got a motion made and properly seconded that we accept the director's report as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Next on the agenda is adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting adjourned.